project. Also with me today here is Anna. You want to say a quick hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for the SCOPE project, and I will be driving the slides and chat today. So if you have any questions or anything comes up, feel free to drop those in the chat.
And we are super excited to have you all here today because we have our friend Margaret Baggio, who will be sharing with you about the SEAS project. Before we get there, a couple of housekeeping things. Anna, can you go to the next slide? So we just want to take a moment and remind you, if this is the first time that you've been to one of our Savory sessions or not, just a quick reminder that we are in fact a community of practice. A community of practice is defined by who the community is, what their domain is, and their practice. So our community are NASA science activation teams, like Margaret's team, subject matter experts and early career scientists like yourselves. And we like to bring you all together to share in earth and space science and engineering education. Ultimately, it is our goal to broaden participation for learners of all ages. And what we do together is create these inspiring educational materials and experiences that are not only effective, but also accurate and are inclusive of all audiences. We consider ourselves a best practice and knowledge stewarding community of practice. Next slide, Anna. And we start every savory session with a savory snack. And I am going to straight up pronounce this name totally wrong. But this month's comes from Iceland. And I think it's harvisker. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But harvisker is made of filleting fish, rolling it in salt, and hanging it outside to dry. Once it's dry, it is then slathered in butter before eating. So which of these is not traditionally part of harvisker? You can drop it into the chat. So this is terrible educational practice, by the way. You don't ever ask a question where it's like, which of these is it not? Because your brain doesn't like to work that way. We have a couple of votes for tilapia, wolffish with a question mark. Like, I'm not sure. Oop, another vote for tilapia. All right, one more moment. Any other guesses out there? All right, next slide, Anna. It is, in fact, tilapia. So harvisker is made from cod, wolffish, and haddock. Research that was conducted on harvisker reveals that it is a very rich source of protein, 80 to 85% protein. That's pretty impressive. Also, sometimes people from the area call it the candy of the north, which is very intriguing. Also, the wrong picture. I see that is last month's picture. Sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Margaret Baggio. She is the program manager for the education and outreach at the University of Texas at Austin Center for Space Research, where she is the PI on projects like NASA's STEM Enhancement of Earth and Space Science, which is the SEAS project, Planetary Reach project with the Boys and Girls Clubs, and the Liftoff Summer Institute. She's had over 40 years of experience implementing STEM programs for students and teachers. She's been the recipient of numerous awards, including the Alan Shepard Technology and Education and President's Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Mentoring. Margaret, welcome. We're excited to see what you have to share with the community. We'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Perfect. Next slide. So I should tell you just a little bit about the SEAS program. SEAS is a nationally competitive high school internship for current 10th and 11th grade students from across the nation. You must be a U.S. citizen to apply. That is because we go behind the scenes on a NASA site, usually Johnson Space Center. And so the students are current 10th and 11th graders when they apply, and they are rising juniors and seniors. So we found early on that working with a senior in high school isn't really beneficial in reaching our goal, which is to get more students to understand and explore careers in STEM education. By the time they're in 12th grade and our internship is in the summer, they've already selected a college, they've applied to college, they're moving on to doing their freshman orientation. But if we can catch them in that 10th and 11th grade time frame and get them more excited and expose them to various STEM careers, then we feel like the opportunity for them to advance and apply what they're learning at the SEAS internship to their career goals in the future is beneficial for all. So in that regard, we always need you. We need subject matter experts that are willing to work with students, because how would you have liked to had on your college application that you were a NASA intern in the summer? It automatically gives those students a little leg up and a help in their application process, and it broadens their understanding. Next slide. So today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a small snippet of how the SEAS internship works. We are in the application process currently for 2024, and I will share a little bit about that. But I'm going to share with you the 2023 results and our suggested schedule for 2024, what our subject matter expert expectations are, and then answer any questions that you might have. Next slide. So in 2023, we had about 2,500 applications for the 200 students that we selected. So it is a very competitive program. That does not mean that you have to have excellent grades. It does not mean that you have to be the star in your community. We want to make sure that this program is open to all students. So even our judges know there may be something on an application that just kind of tugs at their heart and say, this student has a real passion for STEM education, but they live in a community where there are not a lot of opportunities. That's the exact type student that we want to reach. So last summer, we had 96 students that participated on site. We had 8 students that did an internship at the McDonnell Observatory. All of those students were interested in pursuing astronomy careers. And then we had 100 students in virtual projects. You can see by the numbers, for the last 3 years, we've had more females that have participated than males. That was not intentional. It's the way that the reviewing and judging stands out. And then you can see that we have a variety of ethnic backgrounds. We also want students that are underrepresented and underserved and live in communities that do not have a lot of resources. And in our state, it's titled Rural or Title I. So we really seek those students out. And we do a Earth and Space Science course to prepare the students for what they're going to be learning during the SEAS internship. We do understand that not all students have an Earth and Space Science course in their school. And so we want them to understand that not only does NASA look at what is out in space, but we also study our Earth. We provide a 30-hour Python coding course for them. Both of those modules are self-paced. And then 70% of on-site completion is required for them to come to the University of Texas, live in a dormitory, have a university experience, and they work with their subject matter expert for 2 weeks on site. Now, each of those projects that are virtual have a little bit different component. For example, our Earth System Explorer groups, they meet in June and July in order to complete the requirements for that project. So some of the virtual projects are a little different, but on site, the students work and do STEM activities in the morning, and they work with their subject matter expert in the afternoon from 1 to 5, generally. Next slide. So again, the SEAS applications for 2024, we decided this year to try something new, and we're going to divide the students. The 10th graders will come for 9 days. The 11th graders are going to come for a 2-week period. And then both of those groups will have the on-site opportunity. So they'll both live in the dorm. The 11th grade students get to choose from about 25 different projects to participate in. 10th grade students have no choice in projects. What we're going to be doing this year is all of the 10th grade students are going to be designing an experiment that will fly on the 0G microgravity aircraft. And we're using a new, we're beta testing a product from the gentleman who invented the mini CubeSat and the CubeSats, Bob Twiggs, and he is their mentor. And then each team of students will design a different type of experiment that will fly on that C-Cube. In addition to that, we have special projects. So the students do a poster, like a science presentation. And we had 160 students last year that participated in AGU in poster sessions. We have 4 11th grade students that will be flying with experiments on the 0G aircraft themselves on March the 8th this year. And then we have all of the students that were on site, the 100 students that were on site. Their experiments in the Z-Cubes will also be flying on that flight, as well as Selena, who's online. Next slide. So here's the wide range of projects that we have currently for 2024. So all the 10th graders will be doing microgravity research with the Z-Cube. 11th graders, we ask the students to choose projects in themes. So we have Earth and Space Science research, and you can see the different variety of projects. We have climate research, engineering, mission design, and technology. So the subject matter expert would tell us, I have research that I need some assistance on, or I have research where I would be willing to work with students, and then they volunteer their time. That does not necessarily mean, even though it's an on-site project, that mission specialist, subject matter expert needs to be on site. We have a teacher mentor that is with the student when the subject matter expert cannot be there. So for example, we have a scientist from Astro Materials who cannot take off for 2 weeks and come and be with the students, but he can Zoom in every afternoon and give them tasks and research and talks to them about what their project goal is and how to complete it. And that's when we have a teacher mentor on site, but the subject matter expert is virtual, if that makes sense. And then others are researchers at University of Texas or other universities, and they might do an on-site internship with graduate research assistants help. And then the virtual projects are designed around that same scenario. Next slide. So here are the virtual projects that we have. We have anywhere from an air quality group. We have Earth System Explorers, where they are identifying and understanding where habitats are for mosquito and mosquito-borne diseases. So they learn how to identify mosquitoes that carry the West Nile and Zika viruses. We send them a microscope that fits on their phone, and they go out and do the research, and then they upload whatever they have found into an international database. They are also identifying landforms, and so it's a really intensive project. So we also have exoplanet transits. So there's just a broad range of projects that you could be engaged in, or you could assist with, or possibly lead a project yourself. Next slide. So the Z cubes are the mini CubeSats. All of the students design their own mission patch for while they what they are studying, and then we print those mission patches, and they are also going to be, so then they're going to get their mission patch back that flew on the microgravity aircraft. And we are always looking for subject matter experts that could help a student on whatever project they're going to be putting on that Z cube. So for example, if you wanted to provide to us your area of an expertise, then we could match a student when they ask a question and we don't have all the answers, then we could refer those students to you and maybe you could assist them in their next steps. Next slide. So subject matter expert opportunities. Obviously, you could be a project lead on site or virtual. You could assist, you can imagine right now we have 2,800 applications in process. They are due this weekend, and we are hungry for anyone who's willing to review about 20 of those applications. So if you're interested, we would love to have you. In addition to that, we have a C's speaker series. So during the internship and the week prior, we offer an opportunity for all the students and those who applied that were not selected to attend a speaker presentation, not only about what your research is and what you do, but what types of degree you have, and how did you get to the career that you're in currently. I think all of those progressions and steps really help students to understand what careers are available, what majors contribute to that, and then also different colleges and universities that they might want to apply to if they are interested in that particular career. We do some career exploration, and we do also provide tips on applying to college while they're at the Seeds internship. But any additional things that are brought out in the speaker series is an excellent opportunity for the students. So we have former astronauts that speak to them. Fred Hayes, Apollo 13 astronaut, he always talks to the kids. They love that. In addition, we have planetary scientists, we have volcanologists, we had someone from the Space Force last year. So we're looking for a wide range of topics and speakers. Traditionally, those are 30 minutes for speaking, and then 30 to 45 minutes, and then Q&A at the end. And then subject matter resources. We could use your assistance in whatever expertise you have to help those students as they progress along in their project. So an example, this year we decided there's a lot of students that start the application and don't finish it. So what are the triggers that make them not be able to complete an application? Or they might have questions and they're reluctant to come to Selena or myself to ask those questions. So we started a peer mentoring process for applications this year. So if a student wants a coach that they can bounce questions off of and say, do you have some suggestions on my application? Then we have former C's interns, and we have teacher mentors that are willing to answer those questions. And that has been very successful this year. Of course, we have to follow youth protection guidelines. So if they do a Zoom with a student, we record that. If they have communications with the students, they copy our C's email address so we can see what those communication strands are. But if you're willing to be a resource for C's, we would welcome that as also. Next slide. So if you have any questions, online is Selena Miller. Selena I'm the PI for the SEAS project, and she's the co-I. So we head up that project. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We would love to hear from you. And I'm open to questions if you have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask the first question. Actually,
Yes.
number one, if you have to hop off, totally understand. I did drop the survey into chat. If you all would take just a few minutes to complete the survey, we would appreciate it. But as far as questions, Margaret, is there any funding that is associated with your SMEs and their engagement?
We do have some limited funding available. As you can tell from the number of projects that we already have this year, the funding for this year would be very limited. But for future projects, let's say for next year or moving forward, then we do, when you tell us you are willing to be a mentor and a subject matter expert for SEAS and you're going to work with them for that month, we do have funding available.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from the audience? And you're welcome to turn your microphone on and do it live or drop it in chat.
Hey, this is Autumn Shackelford from the University of Central Florida. I'm still a grad student. I'm a fourth year grad student, and I was wondering, I guess, like how much grad students can do. It seems like a lot of this might be for more like people who have maybe already gotten their doctorate or have already sort of like started their careers, but I feel like grad students sort of have that step between undergrad and trying to search for what we're doing in the future. So maybe we could also offer a unique perspective. I don't know, just asking how you guys feel about grad student help.
So we do have grad students that not only assist, but some of them are leading projects this year. One of the subject matter experts that's internationally known for space debris has a grad student. He can't work with the students because of his commitments, but one of his grad students is going to lead that virtual strand this summer. So we do use grad students. Last summer, we had a high altitude ballooning project, and one of the grad students was with the students every afternoon, and his professor would come in periodically and answer questions if they needed. But all the soldering, the putting together the sensors that were going to go on the high altitude balloon, all of that was done by grad students. So yes, we welcome them, and we also use them to judge applications.
And there's a
Awesome,
question
thank
in
you.
the chat. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can I
Oh,
talk
no
over?
worries. I was just saying thanks.
Oh, okay. There's a question in the chat from Camille. Do you have a PDF or flyer that we can share with our colleagues?
Yes, we do. Are you asking about just the SEAS program for high school students, or are you asking for mentors?
I believe they're asking for mentors, if we can share it out, if they can share out something for their colleagues.
So we will send something to Jessica, and she can send that to you. Sure. Any other questions?
If we can mentor this year, do we contact you, Margaret, or use the SEAS email?
I would prefer that you contact me, maybe copy in the SEAS email address. Selena and I tag up on that email, but that would be beneficial and help us. The more we can engage more students, especially virtually, if we have more mentors, because we have a limited budget. We pay for the students' travel. If they need a travel scholarship, it's not questions. We pay for their travel. And we pay for all students the 2 weeks that they're in the dorm. So any activity we do with them, their dorm, their meals, everything is provided while they're at the University of Texas. But we only provide travel scholarships for those that want them, and it has no bearing on their selection.
Okay. And next question, you've already mentioned that projects seem to be lined up for this year, but if we're interested in leading a project next year and want to see or learn the process this year, is there a possible route along with volunteering at SEAS?
Let's see, Selena, you might help me there. If you were interested in a virtual project, for example, or an on-site, on-site would be a little more difficult, but I can send you a schedule of what we do for that 2-week period to give you an idea. And then
And we can also reach out, Margaret, and see if any current project mentor would like someone to shadow or assist with their group.
or sit in and just
Right.
monitor, kind of like you're monitoring a class.
Yes.
So we could certainly match you up there. And that's not to say we would not take virtual projects this year. It's just that we don't have room for more projects on site. We try to keep the numbers really small for the students because I don't want the kids to feel like they're in summer school. I want them to, and they're doing hands-on. We want them to be engaged in their project. So we typically keep numbers from 6 to no more than 10 per project group. And so we have to have that many rooms for the kids to meet with their mentor when they're on site.
So should David reach out directly to you, Margaret, or to you, Selena, to arrange possibly shadowing?
Yes, if you're interested in shadowing, email Selena, myself, or the SEAS email. We are all connected.
Yep, great. We might have time for one more question. If there's one last one out there. All right. And if not, I want to once again thank everyone for joining us today. And especially thank you, Margaret, and thank you, Selena, for taking time out of your schedule to come share with the community about ways that they can engage with the SEAS project. One last time, I do have that survey link over in the chat. Please take a moment to complete the survey. It's very, very short, and those are very informative as to how we arrange these sessions. Thanks so much, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next time at our next Savory session. Have a great day.
Thank you.